Hi there folks, my name's NovaWrap and welcome to the NovaWrap, your weekly summation for all the release news from the simulation world from the week that was. Alrighty, we're gonna get started this week with some sports simulation. So, Axis Football 2016 has just been released. So this is the second in the Axis Football line of American football simulators, which gives you the opportunity to simulate being a player, being sort of like a golden mode sort of top-down sort of player, but you can also simulate being the actual coach, being in charge of the franchise as well. So there's quite a few different simulation aspects to this one. Now, what's kind of interesting for me for this one is that this is borderline a Kickstarter program. So there's a lot of really cool features in here. They've got a whole heap of new, they've got over 100 new animations that they've upgraded, as well as upgrading the graphics, and they're redesigning the user interface from the previous version. They've brought in a whole new attributes, usage attributes that you have, like customizing your players, customizing your team, customizing the draft, and a whole heaps of new professional audio have included as well, and AI improvements. But what's really interesting is the fact that that they openly admit that this is still a project that's that's a work in progress. That it's not quite up to your full like your Madden NFL type games, but it's getting there. And you know what? From looking at it, I can see the strides they've made, and essentially what they're sort of going is, if you want to see this improve in the future, keep support it, and you'll see things come through from there. So yeah, it's an interesting way of doing it, but you know what, I kind of support the fact that they're open about it and saying, you know what, we're still on the road to developing this. So if you want to see this sort of survive, and if you want to see this prosper and grow as a title, you give yourself and if you're into your sporting simulation games, have a think about grabbing into it. Obviously, things aren't completely there. There's no licensing here from the NFL, so you won't see your actual teams, but they do include, it's fully moddable, so I'm sure that by the time this video goes to air, somebody will have started already done the actual NFL team mods for it. So there you go. But what's really impressive is the huge range of moddable features. Like, you can pretty much mod everything in this, and that really always goes to show. For me, it always shows signs that there'll be a very a large amount of longevity in a title when there is a lot of modability and customizability of it. So really good to see. As I said, I'm not a huge fan of the sports simulation games, but if you are, definitely have a consideration of this title. Fully compatible with both local and online multiplayer, as well as shared and split screens as well, controller support, as well as mouse and keyboard. So looking pretty interesting. If it's your thing, check out the link down below. Available now on Steam for $20 or your regional equivalent. Alrighty, moving on now, while still staying in the terrestrial world, we've got this is another really cool one. So we've seen a lot of like remote control related titles come through lately. So this one's an interesting one. So this is from Blue Budgie Studios. So they're a fairly small, fairly new startup company. They're basically a whole heap. Basically, the entire team is made up of people who've been working in the industry for quite a while, but they still have their more normal daytime jobs with other established developers, and they've been doing a lot of modding for existing games for a long time. But they just banded together and thought, wouldn't it be cool if we brought together a physics-based a physics-based game? And so this is like completely physics-based, and it's looking kind of interesting. So essentially, you take on the role of this company that sends in little remote control robots that go in and look for iridium, and sort of like just sort of deal with challenges of terrain and other robots that might be trying to pick up the stuff as well. So it's interesting with how it's done. It looks kind of cool. It's based on the Unreal 4 engine, but is 100% NVIDIA PhysX compliant, and is all about physics. It's not scripted, no scripted gameplay, no animations. It's all the parts are supposed to be driven by the PhysX engine. So it's looking kind of interesting. It really is. And the fact that things, if you take a tumble from a great height, you will take damage and stuff like that. So it's a very interesting idea. I'm not 100% sure on its execution. But it's got a whole heap of interesting stuff in there, and I think this is a case of just from looking at it, and looking at some of the previews of it, it's like I think it's still very much a work in progress, and I think maybe that they've sort of put it out to raise a bit more funds to get a bit more development going. But it's an interesting take on the having a physics based simulator slash puzzle game as well. So it's really interesting. I like the graphically, I like it. I like the set design, the scenery design, and stuff like that. So I'm very interested to see where it goes. It's got a lot of interesting gameplay with there. As I said, it's all driven by the physics engine. Whole heap of things you can actually sort of you got to basically you got to capture these little energy and iridium nodes and stuff like that. So very interesting. But the other part that's interesting as well is that because this is a group of modders and developers, they've essentially thrown in an entire second game as well, Katamari, which is basically gives you all the under the hood workings of how to make a physics based game using the Unreal 4 engine. So it's an interesting sort of multi target audience, this one. So it's not just about the actual game itself, it's also about the underlying things. If you want to break into the world of a bit of software developing or game development, this might not be a bad time for you to pick up just to poke your nose around under the hood and see what's going on. So there you go. Anyway, this one is available now, normally $20 on Steam, currently on special for its launch week for $17 or its regional equivalent. Alrighty, sticking with the terrestrial world at the moment and moving into the world of public transportation. So the guys over for OMSI 2. So if you have been enjoying running around various buses and buses around your virtual cities, we have an interesting new add-on for you. So the Tram NF6D Straßbahn has been added on for here for your public transportation simulation pleasure. So this is it's a giant tram. It's a baby train slash giant tram is what this thing. This thing is huge. It's almost 30 meters long, over 2 meters wide. It's, as I said, it's over 170. Yeah, it takes over 170 passengers is what it does. I've seen these in the real world. I've actually seen these when I was spent a bit of time in Germany, and they're absolutely fascinating. They're huge. So this is now available in OMSI 2. So OMSI 2 has sort of very much been focused around sort of buses previously. So this is like the first big, tram sort of interesting one for this one. So it gives you a whole set of tram lines, 15 stops. The map that you get is based on the German cities of Essen and Gleichkirchen. You get 100 individual new objects for your simulation pleasure and messing around with, including a part of the route is actually also underground as well. So it's not just all above ground this time. Actually taking their first sort of ventures into modelling stuff underground, which is really interesting. And a whole heap of scenarios are included as well, including maintaining to the actual real-time table of the real tram. So, yeah, very good. If you want something different for your OMSI 2 experience, this is going to be something for you to have a look at. So you get the actual main livery of the main customer, which is the Bogastra, but you also get some repaints for other transportation companies as well for your customization liking as well. So this is available now for OMSI 2. Either available from Aerosoft, the publisher, or available on Steam. Alright, sticking with the public transportation world and moving on to the world of Train Simulator this week. So Train Simulator saw 2 add-ons this week. So the first one we saw a route and locomotive add-on, so the Chorus Railway route. So this is another really interesting. I was actually fascinated by the actual history of this route. So this route actually closed like a long time. Like this route closed back in like the 40s. This railway closed. So it's been gone. So yeah, it's all gone. All the track was completely removed. But then there was a sort of a renaissance, or sort of as where people were very getting nostalgic about trains. So in 1966, a group of volunteers basically went, you know what, we want to see railway come back. We want to preserve the history of what was there. And they want to create a museum. And part of their plans for creating a museum was actually to recreate part of the line that the Great Western Railway had sort of, closed because of it was just not worth maintaining. So they repurposed all the stuff and closed it and all the rest of it, and it was kind of like, and this group of volunteers basically went, you know what, we want to preserve the history that used to be here. So they opened a museum with some of the old memorabilia, and then with the long-term aim of actually rebuilding the track. And so what they did is that over the course of like 40 years, they actually eventually went through and actually did that. They've done just that. They've actually they laid the initial track, which was just under 1 mile, and then now they're talking about expanding it as well. And not only did so originally when they opened it, they had a diesel a diesel locomotive, because it's a narrow gauge railway because it's going through some interesting terrain, and they created that, and they did that one, and then a brand new steam locomotive was actually built by the Railway Society and actually commissioned on the 57th anniversary of the line actually its last service coming into the yard for the last time. They relaunched with their new service. So it's a lot of fascinating history here. There really is. Anyway, so but what this does is that this particular add-on, the Corus Railway route, actually includes the actual modern day, the actual current open extension preserved line from Corus to Maspeth. All the way, plus the additional proposed extension that they're currently in the process of building and securing the land for, down to Tanwa Coed. So, and it includes the Tattoo locomotive number 7, which is the beautiful steam locomotive that was constructed for this line, looking absolutely incredible. And you get 8 scenarios included with this one as well, some challenging ones, because it is a narrow gauge railway going through some beautiful countryside in the Welsh Highlands. It is just absolutely amazing. So yeah, just for nostalgic effect, this is absolutely beautiful. It really is. And as I said, it has both the current actual restored line, as well as the proposed extension of the route as well. You also get, of course, as always, with as we see with pretty much all the Train Simulator add-ons, it is fully compatible with Steam Workshop scenarios, and of course and it is Quick Drive compatible as well as being having the 8 challenging scenarios as well. So a lot of fascinating history in this add-on, available now on Steam for $12.99 US or your regional equivalent. Continuing on with Train Simulator this week as well, we saw another scenario pack be released. So this one sort of, again, I think the scenario packs that I'm noticing coming out from Dovetail Games lately, very much focused on not only providing you with new mission content and new scenarios to actually be able to work with that you don't have to make yourself, or don't have to sift through all the amazing stuff that's on Steam Workshop, but it's also about cross-selling as well. So this is the New Jersey Coastline Scenario Pack. This is the first pack they've released for the New Jersey line. So this includes 10 different quite challenging scenarios using a whole wide range of vehicles. The point though of this is that not only do you have to have the New Jersey Coastline add-on route add-on to be able to get the tracks for these scenarios, you may also have to purchase some additional trains to get access to all of the scenarios as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a cross-sell process as well. So it's not just it's got some great scenarios like going through and managing some freight yards, and actually going through and sort of trying to get some deadheads done in sort of record time and stuff like that. But yeah, it is about cross-selling, which from a business perspective I understand. But yeah, just buyer beware of that one. If you are looking for some extra scenarios for your New Jersey coastline route, probably one for you to look at. But just bear in mind that if you want to get access to all of the authentic scenarios there, you are going to have to look at some of the additional DLC available for that line as well with some of the trains. So just be aware of that one. But yeah, as overall, for scenario pack for 10 scenarios, $10, $1 a scenario, not too bad. So yeah, available now on Steam. Alrighty, continuing on with the simulation world, but going to a more of a global simulation this one. So I wanted to point this one out because pretty much just for lols, I wanted to point this out. So a few years ago, Supreme Ruler Ultimate was released a few years ago. Essentially, it's an open world sandbox in the vein of Hearts of Iron, where you control the geopolitical landscape. You take on a country and you lead it to global domination or being crushed or whatever you want, with a variety of different historical scenarios or future what if scenarios and whatever. And again, as always, a lot of user creatable content for this one as well. So they've released a free piece of DLC, so it's free, folks. So I want to be reminded of this: it's free. Supreme Ruler Trump Rising. So just a caveat here for my American viewers. FYI, the whole world is looking at your political machinations right now and is basically sitting back with the popcorn and a cider and just staring back in utter amazement. It's like the most incredible, amazing, and worst reality TV show ever. So there's a lot of fairly sarcastic and poke fun at and very ironic things kicking around in the gaming world based on old Donald Trump and his hair. So this one is no exception. So if you can't deal with a joke, you're probably going to be like screaming at the screen right now. But just deal with the joke. But not only does it actually look at where you can take on various different scenarios of Trump winning or Hillary Clinton winning. You can take on scenarios where it actually divides the US into two different countries. But it also throws in there some interesting stuff about Europe with the Brexit and all the rest of it as well. So for those who like your sort of global geopolitical simulators, Supreme Rule is not a bad one to look at. And if you have it, this is a free piece of DLC. Get it just for the lols. Get it just for the lols, but maybe not just for the lols. But yeah, anyway, it poses some interesting but mostly tongue-in-cheek scenarios. It really does. So just FYI on that one. So there you go. And I'm pretty much going to leave that there. Probably lost a whole heap of subscribers right now, but anyway, if you can't take a joke, can't take a joke. Alright, okay, moving on. That wraps up the sort of much of the ground components, so we're going to move on into the world of flight simulation now, folks. We're going to move on into the world of flight simulation, starting with some scenery releases this week. So, the guys over at Tropical Sim, so they've been popping out a few releases of late. And they've just released their latest one, which is another reboot of a previously done title for them. So this is Buenos Aires Ezeiza Airport. So this is BA's largest international airport. So its full title is Ministro Pistarani International Airport. So basically, it's close to BA, the capital of Argentina. It's essentially is operated by Aeropuertos Argentina. It's named after the great general and politician Juan Pistarani. But yeah, just mostly commonly known as Ezeiza Airport because it's close to the city of Ezeiza in Greater Buenos Aires. So there you go, just FYI for that one. Yeah, and it's got an interesting history. The airport was built at the end of the Second World War, 1945, and finished construction in 1949. It's undergone a series of upgrades over the years. This one reflects the latest updates in 2005, started 2015, and into 2016, where the airport's now been upgraded to be fully capable of taking all your very large aircraft, including A340s and 747s, as well as parking and terminals as well. So what's kind of cool about this one, and one of the things that I kind of like about Tropical Sim is the fact that they maintain compatibility across a variety of simulators. So they keep their, this one pack is compatible with FS9, FSX, and P3D with all of its variation, all of their inherent variations. Which is, as a developer, a really challenging thing to do, to keep it across all of those platforms. And it's quite impressive that they do that. You also get, not only do you get the actual airport itself, you get about 100 square kilometers of photoreal scenery with fully customized autogen buildings for the entire area as well as full seasonal variations and night and day illumination and textures as well, which is always really nice to do as well. It's nice to give that life to not just the airport but also the area around it. The thing that impresses me the most about this airport, I think, is the way they've done the glass and the jetways. It's just, I think it's one of the best renditions I've ever seen just from looking at the screenshots. So quite impressed with that one. But yeah, this is available now from the from Sim Market or from your favorite flight sim retailer. All right, moving on with other scenario releases. So this was an interesting one. So this is a developer that I haven't really been familiar with. Basically, from my research here, my understanding, it's one guy. So it's called he's called Flying Chemist. And he's released the Okayama Airport in Japan, which is in the Okayama Prefecture. Essentially, it's about 18 kilometers northwest of Okayama City, and about 30 minutes by public transport to there. It opened in 1988 as a replacement for the former Okayama Airport, which was on the waterfront and needed to be closed for various reasons. And it's gone through several upgrades and whatever to become one of the a very busy sort of international and domestic airport for Japan. And the Flying Chemist has actually released this one as freeware, so this is available completely free to us. But what's really weird and really interesting is the way he's done it. It's free emailware, so he's happy for you to use it and give you a link for it and all the rest of it, but you just have to email him and just accept his terms and conditions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link in the description down below, because I'm really impressed for this one guy, has produced this, and it looks pretty damn incredible. It really does. So I'm going to drop a link for his blog in there, where it gives you all the information you need to be able to contact him and grab the scenery for yourself, because I'm fairly impressed by it. I really am. I really am impressed by it. So there you go. Anyway, as I said, available now for the beautiful cost of free, and to give you something a little bit different for flying in your Japan experience. Alright, in other scenery releases, so this is one that I just a quick touch on this one, because I forgot to bring it to you guys last week. The guys over at Orbix have updated their Freeware North America pack. For those of you using FTX Central 2, you would have seen, probably just open up your FTX Central 2, you will see a pop-up saying just a free update available. Just do the update. Otherwise, available through the Full Terrain website. So we've got another 50 small airfields have been added in for pretty much covering all of North America. So just grab those now. There's a full list available over at the Orbix and Full Terrain forums. But yeah, just another great delivery and a great update delivered by developer Neil Hill. So just absolutely amazing and great work from him. Thank you very much. Apologies for missing it last week. Available now. Just do the update through FTX Central 2. Alright, in other releases as well this week. So this is one of my favourite packs. I love this. Okay, so OzX, for anybody who's watched any of the live streams or much of the stuff that I put on my channel, you've also read some of my articles. I love OzX and the work they do. They put a whole heap of stuff out as freeware. A lot of the guys at OzX are developers from and modelers from Orbix as well. So OzX have had a range of Australian bush flying experiences out for a number of years now. So version 3 has been sort of like the main one, and they've got a whole series of updates to that one up to 3.4. And this week we saw the release of their newest update, which is version 3.5. So this adds in 20 new bush strips, a couple of heliport pads, a whole heap of oil rigs off the coast of Australia as well, and then about 20 points of interest across the whole of Australia as well to enhance your bush flying experience. This is a non-cumulative update, guys. So just for those of you who may not have discovered the amazing awesomeness that is the OzX Australia OzX Australia series, you do have to install each of the updates sequentially. So you're starting with version 3.0 and going all the way through up to now to version 3.5. You do have to install them sequentially, but it is an absolutely amazing pack to get. It's big though. I will warn you that. I'm not going to kid you. Even just this update version 3.5 just comes in just shy of a gig. So FYI on that one. So it's a lot of space, but believe me, trust me, it is worth it. It is just amazing the work that goes into these. It really is. So highly recommended. Available for the best price of free. Available now over at the AussieX forum as well. I'll pop the link in the description down below. Alrighty, continuing on with flight simulation release news this week. Yeah, pretty much these last two items are items that I actually, sorry guys, I missed out on last week's show. I do apologize for that. So the first one we've got is for the DCS family, Digital Combat Simulator family. So the F5E Tiger 2 by Belsimtech. So it's been talked about for a while. It is now in early access, so it's now released. I know this is a release show, and I tend to avoid talking about early access stuff. But it is publicly available. You can go out and buy it, but it is still in early access, so it may not be 100%. So it's not 100% finished yet. But if this is what they call not 100% finished, wow, just wow. Like, again, Belsimtech just do some incredible work. They really do. So the F5E Tiger 2 module for DCS World is available now. Available directly from the eStore as well. Not yet available for the Steam. Again, there's a whole other issue that I have a problem with on that, so I won't go into it here. But yeah, available now, and has just been updated in the last couple of days to be fully compatible with DCS version 2 as well. So previously it only was with the 1.5, but now it is working with version 2 as well. So just FYI on that one. Available now from the DCS eStore, available now for this beautiful light fighter. Alright, and rounding out the news for this week / last week, sorry again guys, our great guys over at Alabao have released another X-Plane title. So they've released the Piper PA-23 Aztec F250 for X-Plane 10. So the Aztec is a wonderful little twin. It really is. I thoroughly enjoyed the Aeroplane Heaven FX Steam Edition version of the little Aztec, and Alabao have now brought it out to X-Plane skies now. So this has got the usual stuff that we're used to seeing with Alabao and Carinator products. So the beautiful propeller effects, very high quality 3D models, and some incredible high definition textures with this one as well. Blank texture again for creating your own one. Doesn't seem to use the default X-Plane GPS system though. It actually has the Alabao's own one in there, which is kind of interesting because normally they fall back on the default one that's built into X-Plane, but not this time apparently. So there you go. And they make a point of highlighting this one that is an FPS like a low poly count and an FPS optimized model as well. It looks pretty beautiful. I've always had a soft spot for the Aztecs. I think that, and the small Pipers, I've always had a soft spot for them. So I'm quite impressed by it. Looking kind of cool. And I must say, visually, it looks about the same as the Aeroplane Heaven one, but it doesn't give you the options of the different cockpits. But anyway, so yes, this is available now from Alabao, from Alabao's website, or from your favorite flight sim retailer. Alrighty folks, that does now wrap up the NovaWrap for this week. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, don't forget, as always, to like the video if you're enjoying this news and want to see more. And of course, as always, you can catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos by finding me on Facebook and on Twitter. Just search NovaWing24. Alright folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.